Hey YouTube, welcome back to Cassandra's Kitchen, where I eat to live and not live to eat. Today we're going to be making holiday dish number 2. We're going to be making some dressing or stuffing, just depending on what part of the country you're from. That's what you call it. So if you're interested in how I create this dressing recipe, stay tuned and I'll show you. Alright guys, so this is going to be my condensed version of the dressing that I used to make because, of course, you guys know I wasn't vegan all my life, so I had this great dressing that I would cook that was a staple in our home. But I've tried to work on this and I've got it pretty much down to where they don't really tell a lot of difference. So I used to use the sage sausage in my dressing, but since this is vegan, I am going to be using the plant-based Bouillon sausage to replace the sage sausage that I used to use. I tried it last year. It was actually really delicious. So you're going to need about a pound of meat. This is actually a little bit under a pound, 14 ounces. So we're going to use this Bouillon sausage. Of course, we're going to need all of our veggies. So I have about a cup. I have 2 cups of onions, sweet onions chopped, a cup of celery chopped, and about 2 cups of the mixed peppers. So you can use bell peppers, any array of colors, peppers, and I have a couple of garlic cloves of garlic here chopped up. We're gonna need that. You're gonna need broth. So what I've done, I went ahead and made my broth using the Better Than Bouillon chicken, no chicken base bouillon. And so I've just actually mixed mine in here because I'm not using the chicken like I used to use in my dressing, or the cream of chicken soup that I used to put in my dressing. So I just use this. It gives it still that chicken flavor. So I'm using that. And of course, I like using the cornbread breadcrumbs. You can do your own cornbread if you want to bake your cornbread. You can do that, but I've used the Partridge Farms brand several times, and it actually makes a good dressing. And it has soy and wheat in it, so if you're opposed to soy, you can get just the plain breadcrumbs, and I'm sure it will still do the same trick because you're putting in your own flavors and ingredients. Anyway, so I have that. I'm gonna make a small dish. This is hard for me, guys, because I cook cafeteria style. I have a big family, as I've already mentioned, and so usually when I'm cooking, I'm using, making big pans of dressing, and so trying to condense it down to just a small recipe. Y'all have to pray for me because I'm trying to make sure I get this together. But we're gonna use the cornbread, the Partridge Farm cornbread stuffing. They didn't have 2. So they only have 1. I did grab one of the herb seasoned, which is pretty much the same, just in case I needed a little bit more. Because I'm not making a large dish, of course. I'm just making a small pan, just so you guys can see the recipe. But I have this just in case I needed it. But you can combine them. It's going to be just as fine. A little bit of plant-based butter. We're going to need that. Of course, we're going to need our sage for our dressing. Can't make dressing without your sage. This is one of the spices that you're going to have to I can't tell you how much to put. This is one of those required. You have to taste as you go because a lot of people don't like a lot of sage. Some people do like a lot of sage. It's all about your own taste and your own preference. So as I'm doing the sage, and even for me, I'm going to have to taste as I go because like I said, I made this a little smaller dish. So I'm going to have to make sure I get the profile, the flavors right. Of course, I'm going to need a little bit of salt and pepper, and I got a little bit of garlic. If I need another ingredient as I go, I will let you guys know, and we'll just add it because, again, I'm kind of switching up the recipe this year. So these are the things that I'm using. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is start to brown our sausage. And I don't know if you guys eat the Bouillon sausage. And if you do, you probably know it has a casing on here. And so these are a little bit unthawed, but you got to be careful. I like to take the casing off when they're a little froze. So what I do is just slip up under that casing on here. And I like to do it when it's a little more frozen because it makes the easy peel. So then all I do is just grab that casing here, guys, if you can see that, and just kind of pull that off. It's a little bit more challenging when it's a little bit unthawed. I didn't realize these were that unthawed, but I'm gonna get up under here and get the casing. Now people do eat the casing, I do not. So, and even though since I'm grinding these up, but even if I eat these as links, I get that casing off of there. And again, I usually do it when it's kind of a little bit more firmer, because it makes it easy to just simply peel it off. Like I said, when they're a little more mushy, I've had these sitting out room temperature, so I should have kept them in the refrigerator until I got ready to do the video. But I think I got one little piece right here. Nope, that's it. Okay, so I'm just going to go through here and get the casings off of this, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this onto the skillet and just start browning this down. And then we're going to, actually, I'll start this piece first here. So, and we're just going to cook down our veggies. So I'm just going to put a little bit of butter in the pan and just get our veggies kind of cooked down until they're a little bit translucent. And once I get these two things cooked down, we'll come back over and start building on our dressing, okay? So this is basically our sausage that's browning. So I just kind of keep it chopped down a little bit and just kind of continue to just let this completely cook and brown. And then on this side, our veggies are almost ready. We don't want them cooked down too far. Just a little translucent because it's got to go into our dressing. And so, but we just wanted to cook these down. So I got the garlic, all the peppers, onion, and celery. It's all cooking together, and just a little bit of butter. I didn't add any seasonings to this. Just let this kind of cook on its own. And so these are about ready. You see they're a little translucent, the onions are. And that's what we wanted to kind of cook it down to. So maybe a couple more minutes on this, just until this is ready. Our Beyond sausage is getting ready as well. So we're just going to let this continue to brown, and then we'll go ahead and start to mix. But I want to kind of give you a close-up of what I was doing over here at the stove on the sausage as well as the peppers and onions. All right, y'all, so we've browned up our sausage and we've cooked down our veggies. So now we're going to start building our dressing. So again, I'm using the cornbread breadcrumbs here. And of course, one bag is plenty for what I am doing tonight. And so then we're going to get our veggies mixed in here and our cornbread. My husband tells me I make a lot of noise. I shouldn't say nothing because I'm probably going to just now make y'all notice it more. He's like, I'm always clinking the bowls or the pots and pans. So I guess I like the sound of it. He's like, you always clinking. I was like, I know. And I didn't realize until he told me, and I do all the time. So now when I'm doing it, I just start laughing. So just going to mix in our peppers and everything in here. Actually, you know what? I want to bring y'all in a little bit closer on this. So I'm going to bring you guys in. So one moment so you can kind of see it a little bit up. All right. So hopefully this is a little closer up so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. All I'm doing is mixing in my sauteed veggies down in my bread. Just getting everything kind of mixed in here really well. And so that's what I'm doing here. And so what I want to do, I'm going to use some of my broth I made. And again, this was just the Better Than Bouillon, no chicken based broth that I've mixed up in my water. And it's really good and flavorful. So I'm going to mix a little bit of that in here, just to get this all mixed down really well. So whenever you're making dressing, you want it to be extra moist before you put it in the oven. Because if you don't, you're going to have dry dressing. And that's one thing I do not want is dry dressing. It's got to be moist. So it's going to be probably really loose when you put it in the oven, but it's going to have to bake. So we're not using, you know, the egg in here. And I'm not using, because I used to use the cream of chicken soup, the cream of chicken can of soup, and put a can of that in here. And I would put some chicken down in here, cut up some chicken. And with the sausage, oh my gosh, it was so amazing. But this is just as good. But you want to make sure you have the actual moisture in here. You don't want it to be dry. And if you can find, now what I was looking for is the cream of mushroom, vegan cream of mushroom soup. That will work in here as well. I couldn't find any in my area. And I usually make a nice cream of mushroom soup, homemade. But I didn't want to put that, you know, on here because, you know, we trying to make a quick and easy holiday dish, you know. Something that a lot of people don't want to make the soup and then make the dressing. So I didn't want to do that. But if you make your own cream of mushroom soup, you can already add that extra creaminess down in here. It just makes the dressing even better. But this right here is going to work just fine. And so then what we're going to do also, we're just going to start mixing in our meat. And again, this is just the browned up Beyond sausage. And I didn't add any oil or anything to that because it already makes an oil. So I didn't add anything to it. I just started to brown it in the skillet. And we're going to get this all mixed in here good. And if your ratio is a little off, you can always add more of the breadcrumbs if necessary. But I think this is going to be plenty. Like I said, I'm so used to making a dish that feeds at least 20 people because I have, you know, a lot of people that comes over for Thanksgiving. I don't know if it's going to be that large this year, of course, with the whole pandemic and all. But I have you can see my spread out on my Instagram. It's Cassandra's Kitchen out on Instagram. So if you're not, you can follow me out there as well. I post a lot of my pictures. And I did have the holiday spread out there. And y'all, it was amazing. So, gonna need some more of our broth in here, of course. And if I need more broth, I do have some that is already, I purchased some organic vegan veggie broth. So if I need more, I'll just use some of that instead of making more of the chicken. Okay, and then once we get all this mixed in here really well, that's the whole thing. You want to make sure all these ingredients are mixed up really, really well with your breadcrumbs. And then we're going to start to add our flavor. But I wanted to get all this mixed first because to break up the breadcrumbs, get that good and moist. Okay, when you can do your own cornbread, like I said, you can bake your cornbread. I've done that before too. Get your cornbread and crumble it up and put it in here. So, like I said, make it your own. This is just for the easy, simple version of some dressing that will taste amazing. Definitely tastes amazing. So, I'm going to now start putting in my sage and my seasonings. So, again, use sage to your own likings. Because, you know, and I'm going to put a little garlic in here. Put a little pepper. And of course, I'm going to use a little bit of salt. So I like to be a little careful with my salt. So a couple of pinches of salt down in here to start. And let's get this mixed in here real good. And I'm probably going to sneeze. I felt the pepper get down my throat. I always do that to myself. So this right here, we would definitely have to add a lot more liquid because you can see it's moist now, but as this cooks, it's gonna thicken up. It's gonna, you know, compact together. So you want to make sure it's extra liquidy before you put it in the oven. So when it comes out, it's going to be full of moisture and not dry. So it looks like I'm using a lot, but this is bread. And when it cooks, we want it, when you break into this dressing, we want this dressing to be good and moist, not dry. So that's key. A lot of liquid. So like when I used to add the soup, that was a liquid. The egg, you know, and things like that, all that in there, it actually made it real moist. So we're not using all those extra ingredients. So we want to make sure that we use a lot of broth. And I would recommend using this Beyond Bouillon chicken, no chicken base, because y'all, the flavor in that is amazing. It tastes good too. It's gonna take this dressing to the level we want it to be. So let me just take a little taste here. Oh yeah. And I think we have plenty sage here. I can taste it. Now I like sage in mine, but I don't want it to be overkill either. So now I think I'm going to add just a little bit more broth. And as you can see, I used all of this 32-ounce jar of broth that I had. It was probably just a little bit under 32, maybe 30 ounces, because it wasn't all the way to the top. But I'm going to add just a little bit more. I have some in the refrigerator. One moment. Okay. This is not going to hurt anything. This is just the organic veggie broth that I have from Sprouts. To add a little bit more of that in here, only because I don't want my dressing to be dry. And this is going to have to bake in the oven for about at least 35-40 minutes. So as it's baking, I just want to keep that moisture inside of the dressing. That is definitely key. Because when you're going through here and you're mixing this up, and if it feels like, oh, you can just imagine when this bread starts to cook, because those are breadcrumbs, as they start to cook, you do not want it to be dry. So it's kind of, I don't know, for me, it's in the wrist. I know it's in the wrist when I'm mixing. And that's just because I've done it so many times. I know what I'm looking for as far as the looseness of it. You want it to be very loose before you get it in the oven. Because then as it cooks, as I mentioned, and I'm probably repeating myself, but that is definitely going to be important to know. Okay. All right, I think we're good here now. Because it's really mushy kind of. But we're going to get this in the oven. And like I said, the flavor is there. I don't need any more sage. I put quite a bit in there. So yeah, I'm gonna bake this in the oven for about 35-40 minutes. I will keep an eye out on it just to make sure it doesn't overcook. And then once we get this out of our oven, and I'm gonna have my oven on 375, so just so it'll cook really well, my oven will be set to 375. I'm gonna get this in here. I'll let you know exactly how long it cooks for. But this is what it looks like. So you want to have a little jiggle. You see that little jiggle in there? That's what you want it to be like before you put it in the oven. So when it comes out, it's going to be still moist. So I'll be back here shortly and let you guys see what the end results look like. All right, guys. So our dressing is done. It cooked for about 45 minutes in the oven on 375. My oven was 375. And look at this baby. That is beautiful, isn't it? Yes. So this is our dressing. It is a little too hot right now for us to do the taste test, but I will be right back once this cools off to let you guys see what it tastes like, okay? All right, guys, so I am back, and I think this has cooled down quite a bit. It's been a moment, so we can do our taste test. So, of course, I got to have my favorite helper to help me with this portion of the video. So, Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Can I have your assistance, please?
You sure can.
Thank you, my love.
My favorite time again.
I know I've got you up. It's late. We're late. It's late today. And so we've been doing a lot today. So this is our dressing.
Yes.
It's a little different than I normally make it, you know, because I've kind of changed up some of the ingredients just slightly. But let's see what we got here, if it's worthy to be.
We're going to find out, y'all.
Let's see. I'm so used to making a larger batch. I just hope the ingredients ain't too much, but. And then there goes another bite. And I guess imagine.
Actually, y'all, to be vegan, this is very good. It's like, I mean, really bursting with flavor. I mean, it tastes like stuffing. It really does. I mean, it's amazing. It's really good. I mean, you know, cause if you say vegan, everybody like, oh, you know. But yes, this is amazing. Another great job, baby. Good, huh? Yeah.
It is good.
Very good.
And it's moist. As I was mentioning, you don't want dry stuff, and so it's got a lot of moisture.
It's really good.
In here. I was hoping they could see it, but we don't pretty much feel it. Let me take it over to the camera so they can see it.
It's good, y'all.
But trust me, it's got a lot of moisture.
Go ahead.
All right.
You know I eat.
It is.
Absolutely.
So, I think you guys will enjoy the dressing.
Yes.
The
Really
dressing
will.
recipe.
Won't be disappointed.
Like I said, I did the
Really good.
sausage in there. If you don't want the sausage, it's going to taste just as good without the plant-based sausage in there as well. I mean, it's just dressing.
It's bursting with flavor. I mean, the sage, the pepper, the salt, the green peppers.
So all those veggies got that.
And the onions and the garlic and all of that stuff in there, man. It just, good God Almighty, y'all. I'm telling y'all, you won't be disappointed.
All right, so there's another one. Y'all heard it from him.
Yeah.
So this is holiday dish number 2.
Really good.
Our dressing. So you guys are going to finish it off? Okay. And so you guys know what to do. If you try it and you like it, give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. And of course, share the video.
It, guys.
And if you haven't already subscribed, what are you waiting on?
Yes.
Subscribe to
Another
the
great
channel.
one.
So guys, thank you again. From Cassandra's Kitchen into yours. Until next time, be blessed. Bye bye now.